Have you ever looked out of a tiny airplane window while cruising at 30,000 feet and wondered how exactly that massive metal tube stays in the sky? Most of us have heard a simple story about the shape of the wing and how air moves faster over the top. It sounds logical. But then you see a stunt plane fly upside down and that simple story falls apart. If the shape of the wing was the only thing mattering, the plane should fall out of the sky the moment it flips. This is a small example of a much larger reality. We live in a world built on things we do not fully understand. We rely on heart machines to save lives. We undergo surgery with anesthesia that puts us to sleep in ways we still cannot entirely map out. We are surrounded by useful tools that work perfectly even when the explanation for how they work is messy or incomplete. This creates a strange tension in our modern lives. We want to be in control. We want to understand the world. But as our technology gets smarter, our personal understanding often gets smaller. We are forced to choose between the benefits of a machine and the comfort of knowing exactly what that machine is thinking. This is the new landscape of the 21st century. It is a world where accuracy often replaces explanation. We are entering a phase where we must learn to navigate the gap between what is happening and why it is happening. To understand this shift, we have to look at how we have historically viewed truth. In the past, we believed that if something was true, we should be able to explain it with a pen and paper. If a mathematician found a solution, they had to show every step so another human could check the work. But in the mid-1970s, something changed. A major mathematical problem called the four-color theorem was solved not by a human hand but by a computer. This was a huge moment. For the first time, humans had to accept a truth they could not verify themselves. They had to trust the machine. On the surface, this looks like a win for efficiency. We get the answer faster. We get self-driving cars that might reduce accidents. We get AI that can spot patterns in medicine that no human doctor could ever see. But there is a hidden assumption here that we need to examine. We assume that as long as the result is good, the explanation does not matter. We think that if a self-driving car is safer than a human driver, we should just let it drive. But humans do not work like that. We are wired to seek out the why. When a self-driving car makes a mistake, like hitting a fire truck because it was yellow instead of red, we feel unsettled. We realize the car isn't seeing a truck. It is seeing a series of shapes and probabilities. It does not think like us. It does not have a story. And without a story, we find it very hard to trust. This is the structural pattern of our relationship with technology. We move from total control to a state of high accuracy trust. We start to value prediction over explanation because prediction is easier. We can predict that a certain drug will help a patient without knowing the exact biological path it takes. We can predict that a computer model will give us a correct map without checking the math. But this focus on prediction creates a dangerous hole in our society. If we stop caring about the why, we lose our ability to prevent problems before they happen. Think about the justice system. In some places, computers are used to predict if someone might commit a crime in the future to decide on their bail. The computer looks at data points and gives a score. But it does not explain why. It does not look at the social reasons or the personal history. If we only care about the prediction, we stop trying to understand the person. We stop trying to fix the underlying causes of crime because the computer already told us the likely outcome. This is where the lack of explanation leads to injustice. It leaves a gap where fairness and empathy used to live. We need to reframe our perspective on explanation itself. It is not just a luxury for scientists. It is a social necessity. When people do not have a clear explanation for something they see, they will often invent one. This is how conspiracy theories grow. Think about the white trails behind airplanes in the sky. To a scientist, these are just ice crystals formed by hot exhaust hitting cold air. It is a simple piece of physics. But if you do not trust the scientists, or if the explanation feels too simple, you might look for something else. You might start to believe that these trails are chemicals meant to control the weather or the people. People who believe these theories are not just being difficult. They are trying to satisfy a very deep human need. They want to find a cause for every event. They want to believe that nothing is a coincidence. In a world that feels increasingly out of our control, a conspiracy theory offers a narrative. It offers a story where someone is in charge even if that someone is a villain. It is a way to fill the void left by complex science that is hard to grasp. To live well in this complex world, we have to apply a new kind of thinking to our daily lives. We have to be honest about what we know and what we do not know. As science and technology become more advanced, even the experts cannot know everything. A person with a high-level degree in math still might not understand every detail of a climate model or a new AI algorithm. We have to learn how to evaluate information without being experts in every field. This means looking at track records. It means checking for consistency and looking at multiple sources. It also means that the people who do understand the science have to get better at explaining it. They cannot just say the evidence is clear and expect everyone to follow. They have to acknowledge the human need for a story. They have to bridge the gap between the data and the person. If they simplify things too much, they create more confusion. If they say it is too complex to explain, they push people toward false explanations that are much easier to believe. This is a delicate balance. We must find better ways to trust the things we cannot explain while also finding better ways to explain the things we do not yet trust. In your own life, you might see this when you deal with a new medical treatment or a new piece of software at work. You are constantly making a choice to trust a system you did not build and cannot fully map. Instead of just following the instructions blindly, try to ask about the logic behind the system. Even a small piece of understanding can change how you feel about the tool you are using. It returns a bit of the agency that we lose when we hand everything over to machines. We are the only creatures on Earth that ask why. It is our greatest strength and our most frequent source of frustration. But we should not give up on it. Even as the world becomes a place of probabilities and black box algorithms, we must keep searching for the narrative. We must keep trying to tell the story of our world in a way that makes sense to a human heart. We are not just data points in a computer proof. We are people who live by the meanings we find in our actions. The goal is not to have every answer but to remain in the conversation. We need to build a future where we use the power of the machine to help us, but where we never stop trying to understand the world through our own eyes. We have to protect the space for curiosity and for the slow, patient work of untangling complexity. If we lose the desire to explain, we lose the ability to dream of a better way of doing things. We stay stuck in the predictions of the past instead of creating a new path for the future. As you walk out under the sky today and see those white lines stretching behind a distant plane, remember that they are more than just ice or math. They are a reminder of the massive gap between what we see and what we understand. We are all flying through a world that is much bigger than our minds, but we are doing it together. We are learning how to live with the mystery while still moving forward. If the world is becoming too complex for any one person to truly understand, how can we build a society where trust is earned through clear stories rather than just high scores of accuracy?